Hello. Today, I will present to you a crime, drama, and mystery film from 2017. Stay alert and take care. A sound like a heartbeat plays along with a close-up of a woman's blue eye. Darkness gradually creeps in from the edges toward the center, then fades away. A kaleidoscopic mix of blue and green morphs into the image of a bridge over the ocean. Ren Amari and Jared Amari are sitting on the beach, dressed in black wetsuits. Ren asks Jared if he wants to go back into the water. He refuses and asks if she plans to stay there forever, but relents when Ren tempts him with the mask and flippers. The two dive into the crystal clear water. Another kaleidoscopic scene transitions into a view from a window, where Ren opens her eyes and black fluid drips from her right eye. She is seated on the floor, surrounded by empty plastic droppers. A countdown timer shows that OtherLife will launch in just over 6 days. The voiceover begins, with Ren sitting for an interview with the TDA, the Drug Administration. The interviewer remarks on her impressive academic record, which ended 4 years ago. Ren explains that it was because of an accident where her brother almost drowned. The interviewer expresses sympathy, but Ren clarifies that her brother survived. They discuss OtherLife, which is difficult to categorize. Ren explains that it is not a drug, but rather biological software that enables the implantation of new memories indistinguishable from reality on a chemical level. Ren visits her brother in the hospital. He is in a coma. She sets up a laptop and headband to monitor his brainwaves before using a dropper to apply the black fluid to his eye. Later, Ren is on a train where she ignores a call from her father, Robert, before arriving at a busy office. Her colleague, Byron, asks her to clear her approval queue. In her other life, Ren jumps from a plane, parachuting to the ground before waking up in a testing room with Byron. A flashback to the interview reveals that Ren's father has been outspoken about the potential dangers of long-term exposure to her technology. He fears physical symptoms like seizures or even brain death. Ren acknowledges the risks, agreeing that any substance can be harmful if abused. Ren describes her technology in a voiceover as she tests a hiking simulation. She explains it as a script that the brain follows, like any other memory, utilizing the subconscious to create a perfect day. However, she also mentions that it cannot last longer than that. Ren tests a snowboarding experience in which she climbs a snowy mountain and snowboards down. The simulation loops, returning her to the cabin at the start of the day. She becomes stuck as the environment warps around her until Byron manages to help her out. By the time he does, Ren has experienced 6 days in the simulation. She insists that the code can be fixed and that the snowboarding experience will be a huge hit. During a sales pitch, Sam, Ren's co-founder at OtherLife, Puri presents the idea to potential clients. He describes OtherLife as a way to live full adventures before work or on lunch breaks. He claims that it's more than just a simulation and can add years of experiences to one's life. Sam concludes the presentation by asking the clients what they would do with their other life. When Ren arrives, Sam introduces her as his co-founder and asks her to explain the science behind the technology. After the meeting, Sam and Ren argue about the direction of the company. Ren runs into Danny, who was waiting for a date she forgot about. She apologizes, but says she needs to work. Back at the interview, the interviewers read reports about how users may disconnect from reality, making the experience feel isolating. Ren and Byron work late that night to debug the snowboarding experience. The countdown timer shows that OtherLife will go live in about 5 days. Ren finds the error in the code and tests the new version without issues. They continue working late into the night, and Byron asks how many tests Ren has conducted. She says 482, which he calculates is equivalent to spending 20 days in OtherLife for every real day. Danny enters with a report Sam requested about the long-term use of OtherLife. Ren reveals she didn't know about it and reads it. She also asked Byron not to go behind her back to Sam. Byron suggests that the recursive glitch they've been encountering could be the key to extended simulations. He and Danny go out for drinks, but Ren stays behind to keep working. She runs the swimming simulation again with her brother, surrounded by the empty droppers. She records the result of her 340th test, stating that it still requires more testing. The interviewers discuss the medical potential of OtherLife for treating brain and memory disorders, but also the moral concerns, since it implants ideas into people's minds. Ren insists she has no other uses in mind. Ren returns to her brother's bedside to try the simulation again. His eye twitches, and she feels hopeful. When a nurse approaches, she hides the technology and asks about the twitch. The nurse explains that eye twitches are sometimes normal. Ren leaves, goes home, and reviews the data. Byron and Danny call her about what she missed during their night out, and she receives an email from her father about disconnecting her brother's life support. The following day, Ren visits her father at the college where he teaches. They discuss OtherLife, its morality, progress, and how it could help her brother. Her father is concerned about a glitch, but Ren insists it's just a coding issue. He argues that mental conditions like depression and anxiety are much more complex than just bad code. Ren accuses him of giving up on her brother, claiming that if he's conscious in the simulation, he just needs a way to escape. Her father says he could disconnect her brother without her consent and asks for her support. Ren goes to work, angry. She asks a colleague, Cass, to help her remove her files from the system. Sam and Byron notice that the nanite stock has been used much more than Ren's reported tests. They ask what simulation she's using, but she refuses to say, stating that it's still experimental. Byron leaves, and Ren speaks with Sam alone. He proposes using OtherLife as a prison system, allowing prisoners to serve their sentences in minutes. But Ren refuses. Sam becomes furious and demands that she focus on the product. She leaves and runs into Danny outside. He tries to figure out what's wrong, but she doesn't want to talk. Instead, they go off together and have sex. Afterward, Ren shows Danny the snowboarding experience. They discuss how everything, including memory, is chemically based. Danny says he didn't expect the experience to feel so real. As Ren checks her phone, Danny grabs another dropper from her purse, thinking it's another snowboarding simulation. Instead, he gets one of Ren's experimental swimming simulations with her brother, leading him to have seizures. Ren calls an ambulance. The countdown clock shows just under 5 days until release. Ren and Sam meet with legal counsel, and she corrects them when they refer to OtherLife as a drug, explaining that it is actually software. Sam decides to speak with Ren privately, asking about the experience that caused Danny's death. Every other experience had been tested and approved, but only Ren had tested that one. In a flashback, the interviewer asks Ren about her ambition for the technology, but she doesn't respond. To avoid charges, Sam arranges a deal where Ren agrees to undergo a 1-year trial as a patient in OtherLife. Sam pressures her, claiming it's better than facing the consequences of causing someone's death. Ren agrees, realizing that Sam had been secretly planning to use the confinement aspect of the technology. Sam insists that spending a minute of her life in confinement is better than the alternative. Ren, Sam, Byron, and several officials enter the testing room. The 365-day trial is much longer than the usual 24-hour simulations. Ren nervously asks Byron if everything has been checked. Once Byron begins, she finds herself in a small room with a screen showing the number 001. The room contains a mat, a toilet, a tablet, and a hatch for food and toiletries. She exercises, eats, and takes notes on the tablet about how to improve the space, only to realize that no one can read those notes. When the cell resets, the number changes to 002. Ren remembers Danny having seizures and bangs her head against the wall. She hums and reaches her fingers through the grate on the floor to distract herself. On the 5th day, she recalls swimming with her brother and the painful memory of losing him. She promises she will never forget him. As the days go on, she takes notes on long-term coma recovery cases, studying what might trigger a patient to wake up. She argues with herself about whether her brother is truly gone and if she can reverse his fate with programming. On day 365, she waits as the lights turn red, but the room resets to 001. Ren panics, realizing the exit routine hasn't worked. She begins destroying the room, then lies still, hearing the sound of wind. She opens the hatch, finds a gap, and crawls through a plastic sheet into a warehouse-like room with her cell. She grabs keys, snatches a coat, and escapes in a truck. Ren walks along a busy road, noticing ads for OtherLife and people everywhere. She calls the hospital to inquire about her brother, then returns to her workplace, which is now deserted. She buys new clothes and spots a magazine cover with Sam's face. At the police station, they find a missing persons report filed for her, listing her as having lived in Italy for the past year. She tries to tell them about OtherLife, but there's no evidence of any charges against her. The police check the cell and find only remnants. Ren goes to her apartment but finds someone else has been living there, and the attendant refuses to let her search. Meanwhile, Sam arrives, saying he came as soon as he heard and wants to take her somewhere safe. The attendant prevents Sam from entering, and Ren tries to avoid him. She sneaks out without being noticed. Ren visits Cass, who offers her food, and explains that everyone thought Ren had gone to Italy without saying goodbye. Ren, Cass, and Danny meet at a restaurant, where Danny explains his experience in the swimming simulation, feeling as if he was drowning. He woke up in the hospital a week later, completely fine. The launch of OtherLife was successful, with the confinement concept becoming a central part of the business, including proposals for prisoners to serve sentences cases lasting decades or even centuries. Ren decides to uncover the truth, and Danny urges her to run away or go public. Ren reveals that she registered her father's patent, which he refused to use, hoping to help her brother. However, Sam stole the patent. Using Cass's ID badge, Ren and Danny break into the OtherLife building to recover Ren's data. They find Byron's office, and Danny holds him back so Ren can access the terminal. She retrieves her hard drive, but Byron alerts the authorities. Ren punches him, and they escape. Danny and Ren manage to flee, but Cass is captured. Ren and Danny drive out of the city, heading to Robert's house, but find it empty. Ren gets to work on the OtherLife printer. The following morning, after breakfast, Ren and Danny share an intimate moment. Ren apologizes, and Danny forgives her. They have sex. The image of her eye from earlier returns, and Ren wakes to the sound of her father's return. Ren talks to him about how Sam stole her work and realizes her father filed the missing persons report. Back at the printer, Ren explains her swimming simulation. When Danny took it, it made him experience drowning, a subconscious choice for how the simulation would play out. Ren had designed it to give Jared a choice, with the option to survive and wake up. Her version of OtherLife, which allows rewriting memories, was dangerous. Like a drug. She worries that the company will eventually perfect it to that point. Robert agrees to challenge the TDA's safety review, which will delay Sam while they finalize their work. Ren prints the simulation and takes it to the hospital to try on her brother. He wakes up, but then begins having seizures. Ren hesitates, then finally pulls the plug. She stays by his side through the night until Sam approaches her. He explains that Jared chose to remain in a dream world instead of waking up. Ren experiences flashes of the testing room, hearing people shout and Byron telling her to wake up. The hospital disappears and she returns to the beach, realizing she's still trapped in her other life. She walks into the water, letting the waves crash over her. The water shifts into kaleidoscopic patterns with distorted voices, eventually turning red. Ren wakes up in the testing room and punches Sam before trying to destroy the recording. Eventually, she calms down, drinking tea as she reflects on her brother, father, and Danny. She answers the ambition question in the interview, explaining that she wants to give people a chance to experience a life they might never know. The interviewers approve the software for public release. Sam and Ren talk, where she apologizes for punching him and says she wants to leave the company to focus on research and development. She will leave with Sam but keep the patent. This angers Sam, and he angrily throws something from his desk. Ren attends Danny's funeral, where he is cremated, and speaks with her father about Sam. She asks him to accompany her to the hospital. Before Ren can get to the hospital, she receives a call from Sam, urging her to come back to the office. She finds Sam and Byron reviewing her simulation, realizing that she managed to break out of the prison. They're excited about the potential for it as an interactive experience. Sam convinces her to sit down as he explains why she should assist, but then he tries to force her back into the same experience. Byron initially refuses to help, but Sam convinces him that the sooner he helps, the sooner Ren will return. Byron sets up the simulation, and Ren finds herself back in the prison. This time, she works through the days, managing to wake herself up. She rises, wipes the fluid from her cheek, and forces Sam into the same experience. She and Byron watch as Sam goes through the days until the system crashes. They realize they must wake him up or he might die. Ren waits, allowing Sam to go through all 365 plus 1 days, just like she did. When Sam wakes up, Ren and Byron leave him sobbing in the chair. Later, Ren meets her father at the hospital, and they mourn Jared's death. Ren returns to the beach bridge, gazing at the ocean.